How's it going, guys? Today we're going to be looking at how to make a custom slipcover for a Blu-ray in case you want to make something new and fresh, or you may have bought a Blu-ray and you don't have a slipcover for it. It's going in a collection that needs them in order not to look wrong or stand out. I'm going to be doing this in Photoshop. You can use whatever you're most comfortable with. It should all be relatively the same, but I'm just going to open up Photoshop here and we are going to start a new project. Now, I have my sizes filled in here already. It's going to be the width and height of the Blu-ray slipcover for a standard North American Blu-ray. You can do this in inches, centimeters, whatever you want to do. I'm leaving it in inches just for right now, so it's going to be 5.327 by 6.753. But if we switch these to centimeters, it'll give us those values too, in case you guys were going to do that. And then I'm going to leave my resolution at 300, just so it has a good clear resolution, so that we know what it's going to look like. Because if we're going to print this in the end, and we want it to print and look as good as it is going to look on our screens. So I'm going to hit OK, and we're just going to have a blank canvas here. It's just going to be the size and shape of just the front or back of the Blu-ray cover. We can work on whatever we want and in any order. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to drag over some ruler lines here just to get an outline of this, because once we start adding on some canvas space, we're going to want to see what we're doing. So I just have an outline basically of what everything looks like. Nothing crazy. We don't need to add anything else at this time. So what we're going to want to do is go up to Image and click on Canvas Size, and it's going to ask us just some questions of what we want to do to add on the canvas size. What we're going to want to do is add on, I'm going to be working in I'm working in inches right now, and I want to add on a ½ an inch just for the sides of the Blu-ray cover that wrap around. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to move this position over so it knows to add it onto the side of it, nowhere else. So once we hit OK, that's just going to pop on that new section there that you saw, and we can grab a new ruler line and set that right there. Now what we can do is go back up to Image, Canvas Size. I think that's the side we need to go to now. Inches, just ½ an inch, and okay. So now we have our sides of the Blu-ray. Let me grab one of those. Now we should have ruler lines everywhere. Should be able to see those. And that's really going to be it for setting it up. We just have the front cover in white or back. That's just going to be the middle where your main art is going to go. And then the two black sections are the sides. If you want, you can always go and set up like a mask in the area so that editing them is a little easier. You don't bleed over into the other sections, so you can add masks on those and arrange your layers however you normally use your Photoshop projects. I'm not going to go too much into that, since if we're making this in Photoshop, you probably have enough experience in it. If not, just look up some tutorials on how to properly add images into Photoshop. It's real simple once you get the hang of it. I just kind of want to go over getting this set up, so what you're going to want to do now is just make your artwork, find your images, put it together on there. Since this is going to be for my Evangelion 2.22, the new theatrical edition, I'm going to make a cover that's kind of similar to this. It's what the Blu-ray cover that I need for that film kind of looks like. So that's going to be the theme that I'm going with. And I'm going to throw some art on here, and I will show you guys in a minute, so I'll be right back. Alright, so this is the front panel that I've come up with. I saved it and condensed it all back down, so that's why there's only one layer right now. But that's just, I put it together, just kind of estimated sizes. I put a random black bar along the top and threw some Blu-ray logos on there to match the case designs that I'm going with the other ones, since this is a replacement, more or less. And then I made these side flaps that will fold down in the future. And then for the back, what you're going to want to do is you're going to just want to keep the side panels the same as they are on the front. All you want to worry about is making your back art the way you want, because we want to make sure that we have the side panels on both the front and the back, so that when we assemble the slip cover later on, it's sturdy on the sides, and it's much easier to glue two flat faces together than try to work out how we would even glue the panels all together in the long run. So what you're going to want to do now is you're just going to want to go ahead and print these. If you save this and export it as either a JPEG or a PNG, since we set up the sizes already within the file, the 6 by 7.5 and the 5.3, and then the half-inch width on the flaps, when we get this printed, it's going to print out to the right size, because that's just the way that Photoshop works. That's why I like using it in here. We don't have to use any external programs to readjust the size. I know some people do, but I think that that's a waste of time, because it's already the right size. And what you're going to want to do is either print this yourself. You can print it at home if you have a good inkjet printer. You're going to want to print it on really thick, glossy photo paper, somewhere between 150 and 250 pound paper, or you can print it on cardstock, whatever you have available to you. You're just going to want a thick paper. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to run down the road to get this professionally printed at local Staples, because it's only going to cost me like $2 in the long run, and if it messes up, they're going to replace it for free anyways. So I'm just going to run down the road and get those printed on thick photo paper, and I will be back and we'll switch over off of the desktop screen, and I'll show you what you need to do next. Alright, so we have them printed. Just gotta take them out here. So went and just got them printed on some thick, it's almost like glossy business card paper. It's what they had there. My friend works there, and this is what he suggested we use. So just thick paper, it's glossy, you can hear it. So those came out really good. They look just like they did on the screen, because we used pictures that weren't going to be blurry when they were up here, so now we see that they weren't blurry on there. And now what you're going to want to get is something to cut them out with. Scissors is fine. If you actually have like a paper cutter that's going to cut straight lines, that's probably going to be your best bet, because then you're going to get a perfect cut every time. You don't have to worry about cutting too much or too little. Also a ruler and like a hobby or X-Acto knife that you can just like place down along the line and then just run it down really quick. That's going to work perfectly fine too. I just have scissors right now because I can't find my X-Acto knife blades, so that's not useful to me. And then super glue works the best just because it's going to dry immediately. But if you have patience and a way to clamp down the edges, you can use any other glue that you want. Hot glue probably works. Anything that's going to dry quickly, you're going to want to use. So just go ahead and cut them out, and then I added guidelines for myself to fold these. I pretended they were like a stylistic feature, because you're going to want to fold the edge flaps down on both sides, the front and the back, because that's what we're going to glue together. You can either, if you didn't add edge lines to fold along, you can either get a ruler and just measure out where you need to on the back. If you got it printed direct center, just measure out like how much white space you have here, and then your ½ inch, and then just measure that out, put lines down, and then you're gonna want to either fold it over the edge of a table to get a flat fold, or if you have something to score it with, you can use a ruler and like literally a pen and just go down, just so you have a line to fold it over on. That's basically all we want to do, because if you're just going to cut it out and then try to fold it over, it's not going to work out very well. It's going to be kind of like wavy, because folding this in a straight line, since it's so thick, it's just not going to happen. So either fold it up over a ruler, make a line, fold it over a table. Anything to help you get it straight is what you're going to want to do. I'm going to assume you all know how to cut, fold, and glue at this point, so let me just get these cut out and glued together and we'll see what it looks like when we're done. One more thing I forgot to mention, if you want to make it shinier and thicker too, just to protect the print, what you can do is get some clear coat spray paint here. Just anything. This is just gloss clear. It's just Rust-Oleum. You can just spray paint over it. A thick coat will give it a couple thick coats will give it a texture, or if you want to do like thin coats, like you're actually spray painting something you want smooth, you can do either or. I'm actually going to run over this with one thick coat just to give it a bit of a texture and then protect the print. So don't forget that if you want to do that. Alright, so we are painted over with the clear coat, cut out, and then these flaps were glued on top of each other with the super glue. So now we have our slip cover for a Blu-ray. Got the logos on the sides that we designed, the front cover. It all looks pretty good, so now this is the Blu-ray that I was going to put it over, and if our measurements were correct, this should just slide right on over, and that's not coming out. So that worked out perfectly. It fits in there nice and tight. And I was comparing this, the way this felt, just this thick paper that I got printed on, to the way a regular Blu-ray slipcover feels, and you can hardly tell the difference. This feels a little smoother because a lot of times they'll get like a texture on them. I did get some bumps on the front of this from the spray paint like I intended to, but that's really what it's going to look like in the end. Obviously you're going to use whatever artwork for whatever Blu-ray you chose, but it comes out pretty good. Hopefully this helps you out and you guys can make something of your own. It should be pretty cool. It's fun to do as well, so once you just sit down and kind of play with it, get your picking the images is probably the hardest part, making sure everything's the right size and clear. The rest of it's pretty straightforward of just getting it printed and cutting it out. And I've seen a couple of these other tutorials and they never really put the dimensions of the Blu-ray cover in there, so I'm trying to help you guys out by that first part where I put the Blu-ray cover. So let me grab some of my other Blu-rays and we'll just kind of compare. So these are the Blu-rays from the set of the Evangelion movies that I was trying to incorporate. This is just the regular like cardboard slip cover in comparison to this. They feel almost identical, like their thickness. I mean, there's not really any difference, honestly, that I can tell. This is actually a little bit less sturdy because it has a barcode cutout for it, where, I mean, you're not going to put a barcode cutout. And then that's kind of like the artwork that I was trying to match up with, that I added a little bit of extra stuff on there. So I think it turned out pretty good. Let me know if this helped you out, and hopefully you guys make some cool stuff too. I'll catch you later. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I appreciate it a lot. As always, liking, commenting, and sharing really helps out my channel. And make sure you're subscribed if you want to stay up to date on the latest kaiju news and crisp reviews.